My name's Adam Manaka and I'm the Financial Controller for Hi-Tech Oils. With our national capacity, we can now service Australian companies nationwide. Of late, we have now expanded into the New Zealand market. Here at Hi-Tech Oils, we receive premium base oils and premium additive packs. Together, with our highly trained staff, we manufacture over 500 premium quality products. Hi-Tech Oils is Australian made and Australian owned.
I've just wandered inside the Welcome Centre here, which is a bit of a focal point when you first arrive at the track. It's like a beacon for you. Above us there is 5 floors of things, including a sky deck for viewing, a restaurant, all sorts here. But importantly, they've showcased lots of great things about racing and automotive, including this beauty here. The Largo Talbot dates back to 1948, a rich history in Grand Prix racing, owned by Doug Whitefoot at one stage, and now owned by Vern Chupin, a very proud South Australian who had a career in Formula One, IndyCar, but was famously known, of course, for winning the Le Mans 24 Hour in 1983. How many people are in here? It's great, isn't it? Look at this. Bit of a tip of the hat as well to supercars racing. This one here, owned by Jamie Whincup, nicknamed Kate. It is the most successful supercar in history, and it's something that he's very proud to own as well. It's something he's got a great affinity with. Over here, the car that Craig and Jamie shared at 888 back in 2006, you will recall, to famously win the great race at Bathurst. It was a very emotional win for Craig Lowndes that year after the tragic passing of Peter Brock. There are Porsches on display and a whole lot more. Great vibe here at Tailem Bend.
We have got the fantastic prototype series presented by Hot Wheels on track right now. Richard Crail has jumped right alongside with me here. Richard, these cars last year impressed. The year before were building. This year is big.
So yeah, race 2, Australian Prototype Series presented by Hot Wheels. Gee, this was a good motor race. We've had a few of them today, but there was some great racing all the way through. Darren Barlow got the early lead in the little black number 27 store, WF1. Got the lead, but the fight was on, and it was a 4-car fight for the early stages. Jason Macris and Peter Patton, wheel to wheel, high commitment stuff down through turn 7, 8, 9, and even turn 10. There was good battling all the way through the field, as is often the case in this championship. There was a spin for the 38 car. As a result, it starts a little bit further down the field in this one, Matt Nielsen. So this was Jason Macris and Patton again side by side. So the Wolf GBO8 strong in places, the Radical SR3 strong in others. They weren't done yet there either. There was a bit more to come. Scott McKay had a big moment. He was under pressure from Phil Hughes. How was the fighting down through the field though? It's everywhere you looked, there was overtaking going on.
Certainly was, and there's 3 different variations of what takes in the prototypes there. There was a West, there was a Radical, and an F1000 as well.
This was a big moment. So Macris wasn't particularly enthused about that after the motor race and was talking about taking it further. I'm, to be honest, not 100% sure if that happened. It sort of all died down at the end. He ultimately finished that one a little bit further down the field. Jason Macris in 5th place, but Darren Barlow went through to grab his 2nd win from 2 races this weekend here at Bend Motorsport Park. So the Garth Walden Racing Store WF1 is the car to beat, and it will start from pole position. Peter Patton in the Radical next. Alongside them, John Paul Drake and Phil Hughes. Jason Macris from 5th. Watch for him to charge forward. Mackay, Short, Nielsen, Clare, Haggerty from 10th. So here we go, rolling start. 3rd of 3 races in the opening round of the Australian Prototype Series presented by Hot Wheels. Store and Radical on the front row. Wolf and Radical on the 2nd. A fired up Radical with Jason Macris on the 3rd row. The bright green car looks up the inside, but he's got to go a long way back to make a move. Sticky does it anyway, down the inside of his teammate JP Drake. He's going to get to 2nd, and he's going to spin. He gets turned around, so he committed to that from a long way back, Jason Macris. Eyes perhaps a little bit bigger than his stomach. Got caught up on the inside. It turned the car around. No fault of anyone else's. It leaves Darren Barlow in front of the Radical of Peter Patton.
Certainly does. The Store driving away, number 27, the weight of the world on the shoulders. That's what Alan Jones used in the World Championship that he won with. And now Barlow driving away out in front.
JP Drake up to 3rd, which is where he finished race 2. He lost a few spots on the run up to turn 1, but as they barrel around turn 7, 8 and 9. These fast right-hand corners that are going to be, I think, iconic at this place. JP Drake was the happiest I've ever seen a driver finishing on the podium. He was over the moon to grab third, said it was his best ever car race. So let's see if he can march his way a little bit further forward in that beautiful gold and black Wolf GBO8. Behind him is Phil Hughes, the Radical SR3, with that BASF BMW M1 liveried inspired paint scheme on that very cool number 42 Radical.
It was 12 months ago that he said he was never going to be a race driver, and he won a race meeting, got good points out of it, and now let me assure you, ladies and gentlemen, Phil Hughes is definitely a race driver. He's got an ego you can't drive a truck through anymore. No, great bloke. Very grounded, down-to-earth fella, but he is definitely a race driver now. There is nothing other than first place for him, so he's trying to head there at the moment.
So the leading 5 cars have pulled a reasonable margin over the rest of the field. Behind them, though, Mark Lauke is the defending champion in this series. He's got car number 1 in his West WX10, and he has made up lots of ground after battling through engine dramas all weekend. I spoke to him after race 2, so they complete the first of 13 laps in this race. He said, look, I just got hung out to dry in a corner and I had nowhere to go, and you lose 5 spots so easily on this place because the corners are so long and so numerous.
Yeah, the success of this category is it's one of those ones, if you build it, they will come, and Mark Lauke's been there since the beginning, and he's enjoyed the growth of the sport. A couple of championships to his name already, and come to motorsport a little bit sort of later in life and has had great success.
Good to see Mark Short running in 5th place in the Prince LSR, the very uniquely shaped motorcycle engine-powered single-seat car. So let's go back and look at the start, the run up to turn 1. That amazing spread of the cars, almost 5 abreast as they run. So Macris pulled out from behind Drake. He left his braking very late. He just got caught up on that curb on the inside at turn 1 of the right-hander, and it unloaded the Wolf, and as a result, Macris was second for a moment. Now he's 14th. Good battle for the lead, and we've seen this all weekend with Darren Barlow, who in the previous 2 races has jumped out in front. Peter Padden, who got pole position early on, the Radical SR3 has been strong in sectors of the racetrack. Barlow better around the back, the middle sector. Padden faster in the 1st and 3rd. So it's just interesting to see the way these cars produce their speed. And it gives you this sort of string line between the 2 of them. It's like an elastic band that extends and then it compresses and it extends again. And they cross the line 4/10 apart to complete their 2nd lap. Barlow, Padden, Drake next, Hughes just behind. Then there's probably 10 car lengths back to Short, who's running all on his own. Brake lock up in front there. I wonder if that was Phil Hughes in the Radical. Behind that, though, is Mark Lauke, who's under pressure from McKay in the number 11 West WX10.
WX10s punctuate the field now. The later model out of the West factory.
1000cc motorcycle engine, 13,500 RPM, 510 kilos, lightweight, nimble, quite a bit of aero, a lot of it produced underneath the car, so they can run very, very close.
Really are a work of art on the underside. Actually, if you get a chance to have a look underneath one of them, really very cleverly designed to get through the air as much as they can. There's no wing up in the dry or the clear air like we see with the Radical and the Wolf. The wing just sits over the back of the bodywork to make the air cleanly exit the back of the car.
Barlow's holding on, Daz, but...
Yeah, we're just watching through this 1, 2, 3, 4 complex. The way that different cars can put it, the Radical gets over the ripple strips and bounces around a lot. The West and the Store has to, the Wolf and the Store have to be flowed nicely, keeping away from the ripple strips. Don't want to disturb the underside of the vehicle at all. It's the Peter Padden style of attack racing. And it's lucky he's in a Radical because they can handle that sort of aggressive approach to it. But these two, the Wolf and the Store, they keep away from the ripple strips.
The Store, a very well-developed car, though not on the Kumho tyre that is the control rubber in this category. They've been running in New South Wales sports cars. Darren Barlow and the Gulf Western, the Garth Walden racing team, easy for some to say. So they've been running on a different product in the state championship. So with a new rubber, they have to re-engineer the car and work it out. At the moment, he has to re-engineer his driving style because he's under serious pressure. Padden sends it up the inside of 13. Big commitment move. Great bit of racing, and they're wheel-to-wheel now. The braking zone into the right-hander at 14. The Radical sends it the long way round, and he understeers wide. Too wide, in fact, and he loses the lead, and he almost loses second to JP Drake. The leader's going at it. They're into turn 16. This is a great motor race.
Yeah, John Paul Drake weighed straight in on that, didn't he? Saw what was going to happen. The number 31, Pete Patton, drifted out wide. Massive understeer. Darren Barlow quickly regained his composure and came on through. Here comes Pete Patton again. When you think it's over, he's going around the outside this time.
Thank you very much.
Pulls it off.
Round the final corner. He's now got 2 cars in his slipstream, but Peter Patton takes the lead. He picked that one and did it beautifully. And now they go 3 wide. Thank you very much. On the run to turn 1, Barlow through the middle. JP Drake looking to send it all the way around the two of them. Barlow's back in front. Patton's going to be second. Drake's off the road. He goes back to third.
Phil Hughes has got a great view of this one, live and in 3D, only a couple of metres further up the road. This is for the race lead.
Seriously? That was unbelievable. The 3 wide going into turn 1. Terrific racing.
Let's hope they can keep this up for the next 9 laps.
They're still all punching out purple sectors as well, so they're all going very, very quickly as this racetrack continues to evolve and get better and better. I'm frankly staggered they all came out the other side of turn 1 almost a full lap ago. 4.9 Ks, because that was an incredible moment, and Barlow got the toe on Patton and just plucked it out through the middle, turned in and across he went. Now he's having to defend again. This time he's got to put the block party on the run up to turn 1. But the stall's a little bit better in straight line. The drone cam catches that into the right-hander. Big stop there. I think the Radical bit is a little bit better under brakes. Gets into the corner really well, but the lightweight, nimble little stall is so very good through the faster stuff. Turn 5 is real quick.
This is quick. This is iconic Bend stuff. If in 3 days of competition we can have an iconic part of the track.
So into turn 6, Barlow had to defend there because Patton got a really good run and a little bit of contact between them. The Radicals just brushed the end plate and it's caused some damage to the stall. So Patton goes around the outside. And the exit of the corner, he got such a good run.
That's engine, that's what that is.
So there was damage on the stall, but Barlow's got problems that are bigger than just a bent end plane on the rear wing of car number 27.
That's coming out the exhaust pipe, that one. So here's Patton. This is testament to the Quaife style diff on this car, the chain driven on the store. They get the power down very, very nicely indeed, and there's the power down as it exits the exhaust pipe.
It's breathing pretty heavily, isn't it?
Isn't it? Absolutely. So that the driveline difference there is what is where we've seen that last season as well, where the Radical can just get out of the corners of that spool type differential to get the good drive out of the corner, whereas the chain drive, that's not great at all. It's
terminal. It's on the other side of the car from where he copped just a little bit of a rub from the Radical while they exchanged the lead.
Phil Hughes is copping a face full of unburnt oil, or very well burnt oil.
He's still pressing on, so if it's an engine issue, is he going to go to pit lane? No, Barlow continues on. So if it is an engine issue, it's hurting performance, but it looks almost like tyre rubbing, but it's on the wrong side from where there was any contact. It's puffing a lot of smoke. It's puffing Billy on the run up into turn 1, but he's still got decent straight line speed. He maintained pace with the Radical. Phil Hughes goes through, by the way, so that puts Phil up to second place. Radicals now 1 and 2, which is interesting.
Puffing out on the gear change.
Because JP Drake was in front of Phil Hughes, but he's actually not anymore. So JP's back to 4th place in car number 66 in the Wolf. And now Barlow limping. So car 27 has been such a stout performer all weekend. 2 victories in the first 2 races. And now perhaps it's time that the Bend Motorsport Park has come to an end for the day.
So there's John Paul Drake now into P3, gets through on the next sector. And you get the feeling that these cars are going to come on very strong out of Jam Motorsport in the prototype series presented by Hot Wheels. And Hot Wheels emblazoned down the side of this car of John Paul Drake.
Looks terrific.
Does.
And yeah, these cars they've only done a couple of days testing. They had a brief run here the first ever practice day at this venue about a week ago, and then they've done some running at Malala up the road, but outside of that, not a lot of development yet. They're still really struggling with the balance of these cars. They're not happy with their performance yet. There's a lot more time to come, and you can bet that they'll go quicker and quicker as the season goes on. Bear in mind, the young cunt out of Formula 4 racing, Sage Murdoch, who's currently running 7th. He'll jump into one of these cars, we believe, from round 2 at Sandown the end of May. So that'll be a positive thing for that team to have 3 cars running at full speed. Padden now comfortably out in front with Barlow in pit lane. We're just waiting on confirmation as to whether he's been able to rejoin the circuit. He'd still be in contention for a spot on the podium for the round, actually, but if he doesn't get too many more points, he's going to be in strife. So that will change the way the round result works, and it looks like it might be Peter Padden now in the box seat to take the round overall across the 3 races. Phil Hughes and Drake are locked together on points, 107 as it is, the way they run, but there's still plenty of laps to go. And as always in the Australian Prototype Series, and as we saw throughout last year's championship, Daz, often change is the name of the game in this series when it comes to the point score.
Certainly does. This is really a riveting battle that we're watching here with Mark Short in the number 16 South Australian racer, and McKay there in the number 11, and off in front there, which is Zartalucci, and recovers, doesn't lose a spot yet anyway, but these two have got a good run onto the straight. Let's watch as...
Yeah, so he's 4th.
Looks for it.
Zartalucci is 4th, so he's charged his way up the order. Meanwhile, McKay and Short side by side for position number 5, and it goes the way of the number 11 car, so the little Black West gets up the inside. Very nice move. Zartalucci has been the quiet achiever in this one in the SR8 Radical. V8 power there, the 2.7 litre Radical Performance Engines car, running a lot of weight this weekend, of course, to bring it into line with the cars in this field, but he's been a quiet achiever.
Oh, this is not a good look.
Is that Jonathan Stokel, car 53? The West is parked off the side of the road, and that's reasonably accurate black smoke pouring out of the engine bay, and indeed the cockpit, which strikes me as perhaps electrical dramas. I think he's popped the extinguisher there as well, Daz.
Yeah. Certainly the way he looked relaxed after that went off. Won a race at Phillip Island 3 years ago, Jonathan.
He's up at turn 1 there, the run-off road, and we're going to go safety car. JP Drake was driving the wheels off the Wolf, coming into the final corner, trying to catch Phil Hughes. Car number 53, Jonathan Stokel, is expired up at the concrete runoff area. Oh, big fire. We're seeing it on the replay, big fire.
That's a fuel vapour fire going off there, the way it's covered around the back of the driver.
The international sign of disapproval as the steering wheel goes flying out the cockpit, and the checkered flag is out. So the race ends under safety car, and Peter Padden will win the opening round of the Australian Prototype Series presented by Hot Wheels. Phil Hughes will be 2nd. JP Drake will be 3rd. It'll be the happiest 3rd place that's ever happened in motor racing, I would have thought. It's clearly his best weekend. But the Radical Ace wins the opening round. Phil Hughes next. JP Drake was 3rd. Scott McKay 4th. Zartalucci in 5th in the SR8. Really good performance by him, flying under our radar. Mark Short 6th. The champ Mark Lauke 7th. Sage Murdoch was 8th. Paul Braccio 9th. And Jason Macris rounds out the top 10.
Still some racing to come here live from Tailem Bend, including sports sedans. First a commercial break, and back with more right after this.